All right, good morning, everybody. We're live, still working out a kink or two, but we're going to do our best to get coverage of round 21 at the MGI Scrabble Grand Slam, and it is King of the Hill at this point. 20 games in. You can see the players have played 20 games. King of the Hill means that pairings from here on out will be determined simply by standing. The top player will play the second place player in the standings, and so on down. Third will play fourth, fifth will play sixth, seventh will play eighth, etc. And accordingly, that means that we have a rematch between Tega Okiemute and Femi Awowade. Having a little bit of an issue with the player cameras, but we're going to do our best to get those back up and running. And we'll do our best to cover this game rather than simply choose not to cover it while we get this squared away. We're going to do our best to get as much of the player camera up and running as we can and see if we can get some coverage of this game. Oh, we have a new one, potentially. So it is nice and early in the morning here. There we go. Okay, very good. Have our players, have our board. They've just placed the tiles in the bag, and away we go. So let me change the flags. This is what crashed my stream yesterday. So this is actually Femi from the UK. Of course, a longtime Nigerian player, but representing the UK in this event. A bit of a surprise, I have to say. There are some real luminaries of Nigerian Scrabble and of African Scrabble competing in this event, and including former world champion Wellington Jigare, and extremely high rated Etta Caro. All right. I guess I have the timers reversed again. I don't understand. Tega is notable so far for... Oh, let me fix this. Fixing this now. There we go. Tega is notable. Hi, Chess Bunzo. You're up late. Is notable for playing absolutely lightning fast. Yesterday, he had an incredible combination of playing so fast, but also so accurately. So I have a few things. Again, first game of the day, we got a few kinks to work out. I'm going to get there, I promise. We got to get the players in the correct places on all my screens. I know the cameras are reversed. We're going to fix that. I don't know why that continues to happen. But we're going to get there, and it's going to be looking good. All right, we fixed the players. Now for the timers, we're going to fix this. So Femi is on turn here. You can definitely expect to see Tega not use that much time on his clock. That much we can expect. Also, I do have the analysis board for when the board gets a little bit, it's a little fuzzy. So Femi has a bingo here. This is going to be important. Hello, 11PJ. Thank you so much. Just getting started. It's going to be another long day of streaming. Got to make sure I get my hot tea between rounds to keep that voice intact. We've got 20 rounds in the books already. And these two players are the top two right now. So you can see the standings here. Did the board look? Oh yeah, the board is right. It's just the Quackle screen. Okay, so we'll do this. All right, what do I need to do? Right, the timers. Okay. Looks like the timer's moved slightly again. Or maybe not. Okay. So Femi mercifully is taking some time to look and give me a little time to get situated here. That's actually quite helpful. I am just making sure that all my scenes look correct. This is the first game of the day, and this is the first time that I've actually been up early enough to cover it. So we have a minimum of 7 games that we're going to play today. And the schedule, of course, if I'm able to take a quick look at it, we're into day 3. We're into round 21. We're going to finish a main event that lasts 24 rounds. And then a best-of-5 finals between the top 2 players in the standings. So right now, those 2 players are Femi and Tega, who are squaring off here. But there are many other players you can see in the standings in the lower right corner of your screen. Many other players with legitimate chances of having a good day today and vaulting their way up into that top group. I don't think anybody would be surprised, for example, if Wellington Jigare found himself as one of the 2 finalists. The former world champion and number 2 ranked player in the world right now. And this is a big miss for Femi. He plays Mog for 21. That's a solid play. Scores decently well, keeps a good lead. Only issue is that he had a bingo here on this turn of semi-log. So an additional option available to him was Elogiums among the plays that are not a bingo. Oh, man. That is a beautiful, oh my God, tremendous. That is an amazing, obviously extremely quickly played by Tega. He plays up values for 92 points here. And that looks like it's going to get a challenge, and it's going to come back valid. Excellent. So I had really not that much experience at all. I was completely unfamiliar with Tega Okiemute. And I have to say, I am insanely impressed. And I really think there's not very many other Scrabble playing nations where somebody this good is just lurking, ready to play in an event like this. And that's part of the reason that I feel very passionately about wanting to broadcast these events, so that players like Tega, who are out there that maybe haven't competed yet on the stage of a world championship, can start to get some recognition for the serious skill that he has. He's playing great up values. That's a really nice play. Yeah, it's a real pleasure to watch him play. I was not familiar with him, but I sure am now. So after that first opening play of Untax, absolutely correct, and now up values for 92, a very big early lead for Tega, and we actually saw him a few times yesterday draw kind of poorly on the stream. So maybe we'll actually see him draw some good tiles for a change today. Sigelu said, this is a huge point in the game. You're absolutely correct. The miss of the bingo from Femi, which hopefully will get the updated racks for the players. These are the racks of the previous turn. We're seeing something good. Salaried. That is certainly the correct play here. 86 points for Femi. That's going to be really important to keep him in the game. Definitely his best play on that move. And nearly as quickly, Tega plays off a Q. Again, we'll work on getting those racks. Okay, so Femi's previous rack is now updated. There we go. Okay, now they appear to be updated. So, interesting play there. Koki for 27. Whoops, hopefully, there we go. That's the one thing we can't afford to lose is the board. Koki makes sense. Definitely want to point out that from this perspective, you have a couple options to use your Q. You could just plop it down here. But this is another compelling choice that scores a little bit better. However, the leave of this is a fair bit worse. Playing caddy instead of Koki, you keep two O's along with a C and a V. So I think there's a good argument to be made for this positioning, but it's a lot of extra points to play your Q there. So just one option. But Tega, that's definitely a solid choice. I'm not saying that's wrong. And we'll see how the game proceeds from here. But it's also worth noting that in the same, hold on a second. Yeah, that spot there where you're seeing the Y go down, that could have been worth covering up that spot as well. So, sorry, let me cover this for now. What I was meaning to say is that this spot right here, where the other Q play would have played, is a little dangerous, right? A Z fits there, other good consonants fits there like we saw. So Kadi also has the benefit of blocking it slightly. So the play of way is made. It's an interesting choice. We'll get into it really quickly once we see what Tega has chosen to play. Looks like Devo and Oma. That's a reasonable choice. And a couple other possibilities for Tega on this move too, as it looks like he is switching over to a play that I do actually like slightly better, of Ovoids. And commits that play. I like that choice. I like switching over there. So let's look at that. So first I want to break down this previous play of Wade by Femi. Of Way. The reason he's playing this is that he has another A that's going to potentially help him bingo with his good bingo leave. So that's the reason behind that choice. There were other ideas, though. He could play Waney for significantly more points there, leaving AH. Or he could simply play Away in this spot. This is a little dangerous, though. Too many letters hook in this spot for me to be really comfortable with that as a play. So his play of Way makes a little sense. We'll see if he is happy with the A hook. I really like this play of Ovoids, though, for Tega. Sorry, we had another play on the board. It was Hide underneath, making a ton of extra points with the Chi hook and the H in a really good spot here. Interesting choice to tack the D on. It leaves him with a slightly imbalanced sleeve. You might want to keep that D just because your leave in this scenario is so much more balanced with the D on it than without. Note also that on this turn, crazy nice play of Oxhide was available here. But Hide is very, very competitive with that play. That's not really a mistake. Not a big error, if it is one at all. So, scores now, 204. Femi has worked his way back up pretty close, But Tega, you see, has the first blank on his rack. And he should be able to find some bingos with it. So as is customary, Tega's clock is not running much. He's taking a little time here to think because he has that blank on the rack. That's the only thing that's slowing him up at all. So bingos will be, I'm quite confident he's going to find a bingo here. At the very least, I expect him to play something like re-sewed here, forming sway. Because way is on the board, it's going to incentivize him to look for his words where his blank is an S or words where his blank is an A. And as you can see, he's found that now. Re-sewed is going to go down for 81 points. Nicely spotted, nicely played. He'll go back up by 100 now. Worth noting, interesting here, that even with re-sewed available, there is another cool option here of re-endow. However, even though this scores 3 more points, there is some value in blocking this S-hook for sway and away. It's not only an S-hook, it's also an A-hook, which makes it really easy to play bingos in that spot. Admittedly, there is an S-hook, a sneaky S-hook on the board with the obscure word SMA. That's available here as well. But this is a much more tricky place to play a bingo with an A. You could potentially play a bingo with an A. Here is wide open, so there's some defensive merit in playing re-sewed and preventing Femi from using his own setup, which you can basically know because Femi played way instead of yaw in this spot. He could equally have played for the same score the Y and the W in reversed position. He could have played yaw here. So because he played way, you can give him credit for having an A much more often. He's trying to set it up. At this level, choices like that are often extremely conscious. There is a play here that is significantly better than any other option, and it requires knowledge of this word. Oh, hold on. I have to get my define bot up here. We'll give it a minute. Oh man, as we see, Tega has an awful rack. Awful post bingo rack. The play in question is alone here. So if you have to know a sway. If you know that hook, you should be able to find this play. But if you're not thinking about the A hook on sway, which is not a given, finding a play like alone is going to be very difficult. So you can see Femi has those letters probably lined up in that order on his rack. But is he going to see this hook, this A hook right here? If he does, that's a huge play. 41 points with all 1-point tiles. That's pretty amazing as a non-bingo play. So is he going to spot that? That seems like it's significantly better. He is instead, looks like he's going to play Vol. And that's not as good. It's not even as good. In the same spot, you could just play Vole, which is a lot better for burning through another vowel. I wouldn't be surprised if Tega exchanges here. Maybe he'll consider putting a play on the board. Let me just catch up with Vol for Femi. He moves up to 199. 4 eyes on the rack for Tega. Looks like he exchanged. And that makes a lot of sense. I don't think there was any play worth putting on the board here. When you have that many eyes, when you're playing the UK English Dictionary, which we are playing here today, you often are looking for plays like iwi, but the K is lurking. It would be really bad to play iwi and get hit with a massive K play, plus you still have 2 eyes after you shed 2 of them. Oh man, looks like we're seeing Seaborn. Wow. Nice draw. Nice draw for Femi on his very balanced, vowel-heavy leave, I should say, imbalanced leave. He kept E-A-O-N and drew B-R-E and is playing Seaborn for 87. And all of a sudden, Femi is in the lead by 1 point, but we can see that's very short-lived as Tighter goes down instantly in response. That's the only place that word plays on the board, the only bingo for Tega, and in the blink of an eye, even as Femi just drew even in the game, he's now behind by a bingo yet again. But there are plenty of chances now. There's a lot of nice, look at the comeback possibility here. If you're able to get a consonant that plays in this spot right here, this is an extremely huge bingo lane. There's also an enormous spot right here to the triple if you're able to fit something there. So Femi is down to bingo, but definitely still with chances to strike back. Clock is stopped. I assume they're just checking scores. There's definitely not a challenge of the word tighter here. So it is early morning, U.S. Eastern Time, 4:10 a.m. for me. But Scrabble at this level gets me amped, to watch and commentate, and just crossing our fingers that we get a nice clean broadcast and that we have an epic finals. I'm really excited for this format. Again, we're into round 21 of the main event, which will run 24 rounds. We'll play this game, 3 more, and then determine who are the top 2 finishers after that point. And then we play a best of 5 finals. And okay, good. The board cams, everything is scaring me today. So if things are fuzzy, we always have this to cut to. So the Femi rack there is his rack from last turn. He played Seaborn with that rack. It's going to be really interesting to see what he's got here. It's really important that he draw something heavy scoring to keep pace, as he is down once again by 70 points. Seeing our first result, just looking at the standings, which you can see here, first result to come in is a loss for Wellington Jigare. That's going to be difficult for him to make his way into the finals if he loses too many more games. Looks like he lost his first game to Hakeem Olarebigbe. So that's not what Wellington fans would want to see. Anyone that's rooting for him to make the finals. Maybe he can still get there with 3 wins, but I think some of these top players are going to win 3 or 4 of their games and lock him out. So Tega's rack is updated. You can see he's drawn extremely well for scoring after his bingo of tighter. There we go. There's Femi's rack. His rack looks like the best bet that he has here is his P. He has a P that fits here, right here. The P will fit here, and he has plays that will go down here. We'll see what he elects to do. One such play that's particularly good is P-ball. Obscure word, P-ball. Hey, Zando. Scrabble time. Yeah, it's always Scrabble time. On this channel, it's always Scrabble time. As long as we're live, of course, which not always, but it feels like this channel's been live much of the last few days. Thank you for the correction. Eric A. Aries says Wellington lost his first game to Oloro Opeyemi. Okay, so I mistook the standings as I didn't even notice that multiple games are already finished, which is crazy. I assume this particular game was probably slow to start because we were messing around with things on the back end and telling the players to pause. So maybe a slight miss of P-ball here. Payne for 36 points instead for Femi. It is worth noting that keeping the ABL combination together is actually surprisingly good because you get a lot of synergy between those tiles. And I think we're going to see ZD here. ZD is a pretty solid play. Femi plays it. Only other plays that I would consider here, he plays ZD for 46. If you wanted to instead play in this spot and also play your F, you could do that. So the reason you would want to play your F and your Z together, even for a lower score, Fizz here would score 41 compared to the 46 points that Tega got. The reason you would do that is simply that it will slightly increase your odds of drawing a bingo. But that being said, ZD is still a very, very strong play, and it's possible that Tega will want to keep that F because all he needs now is to draw. Well, it's going to be kind of difficult. I was going to say all he would need is to draw an I or something for something like Frizz, right? So you would get Frizz in the upper corner, but he used his I here. So I wonder if he shouldn't have played ZITE and tried to draw Frizz. There are only 2 R's to come, though, so I don't think that's that great of a play. But maybe there's some other reason that the F performs particularly well here. Either way, these are very close plays, and ZD scored 46 points, which is obviously a ton. And you can see Femi's rack is not in good shape with the 3 A's. He's going to struggle here. That's not what he needs. And, even worse for him is that Tega has drawn the second blank. Not that Tega has a bingo with it yet, but just the fact that he has it and Femi does not, I think that's basically the nail in the coffin in this game. Tega is going to play something good that's not a bingo, that scores well next turn. And after that, odds are quite good that at some point here, with that S, again, this is a really tricky hook. This is in the UK English Dictionary only. SMA is probably some kind of slang word for small. And this is actually a surprisingly good bingo lane to end a word in an S. So I fully expect that to stay open a little longer. You've also got lanes here. You've got lanes here. You have some tiles to potentially play through. So let's see. Is Femi playing something? He's playing ABBA in the lower left corner. That's a solid choice. Back over to Tega. I expect Tega to play through with this rack something quickly. He's going to try to play off his F and Y. Oh, actually, he can play FY in the lower corner now, but actually, so with this rack, Tega could play FY in the lower corner, but let's see, let's not block what he's going to play. Yeah, that's what I saw. He has a totally different option. Playing G's in the upper corner, that's even better. It scores 44 points, even though it keeps the F and the Y on his rack. You're scoring so many more points that it has to be worth it, and now Tega goes up by 101 points. Femi, it's not so late in the game that Femi won't have... Femi's going to get 3 more tiles shortly. Those are the tiles he retained on his rack after his play of ABBA. Oh, wow, look at that. Column plus an A. So almost some bingos here. There definitely are some 8-letter words with those letters. You can see what those are here. So different words with column. So you could see like the ovoids letters, if those were different letters, he could be bingoing right now. But of course, that's always the case, right? These letters here, oops, hold on. There we go. These letters here, if any of those were just right, for example, an E, you could see a bingo be played, an R, an L. There would be potential playable bingos with any of those. Note the time disparity again. I mean, I just feel like Tega is so sharp. He's playing so well and so fast. It's going to continue to put pressure on all of his opponents. And even in this game, Femi is already in trouble. But even if this game were an even game, I would consider the time to be a huge factor here that favors Tega, right? Give Femi an extra 100 points, and I would still favor Tega slightly in this game because he's got 1759. That's closer to 18. 18 minutes to Femi's 4 and ticking. And there's still a pretty good chunk of the game left to play. So let me see if I can get this info for you guys. Whoop, this is what I was going for here. Okay. So you can see here's the situation from Femi's perspective. Sorry for the unseen tiles looking a little raggedy again. Let's see if I can fix this actually. A little bit. I just need to change my whole scene for this, but that's okay. So there's still a fair number of tiles left unseen to Femi. We don't want to... So I have this screen. The reason why I have this screen in my interface is so that we can sort of break free of that thinking of looking at your opponent's rack and saying, this is what I should do based on this rack, right? Like, that's not how we make decisions in Scrabble. We don't know what our opponent has. We only know which tiles are unseen. So mock is the play. That's reasonable. That's a solid choice. Definitely other things that you could play here, but mock does have the nice effect of at this score, and I don't want to miss too much of Tega's decision making here. Oh, he's playing upside down, so let's just cut back to this screen. The reason that mock is nice is that at this score for Femi, creating this big threat, especially because he has an N and an L. Those words both fit, making hooks to Oma. So it's a clever play. If he is able to draw a 7-letter word, the odds that it fits here are a little bit better than usual, and this is a really big spot with the 2 double word scores here. So he's going for a play that actually has a realistic chance of getting him back in the game if he hits it. Of course, Tega is going to do anything he can to block that area off. And in fact, the nice thing is the move that sort of comes to mind with Tega's rack, totally independent of board state, would be something like, it would be something like Jiffy. Let's see what he plays. He's looking briefly at his rack. He's looking at his tiles. And that is the play he makes. So Jiffy, with all those consonants on Tega's rack, is absolutely correct, a solid play. Oh my god. Okay, Femi, this is it. Femi has a golden chance here to get back into the game. Oh my god, I can't believe this. He has to see this. Unreal. In this scenario for Femi, so the play of Jiffy is often going to block the lane that Femi made previously. But in this particular scenario with Femi's draw, he has Frenular for 110 points. He has to see this. Oh, Oh no. That hurts. So nobody to blame but himself there, unfortunately. That is a huge miss, of course. That is exactly what Femi needed to get back in the game, and I think probably a little bit of a key factor here is time pressure. I have to imagine. Okay, and what we're seeing here, I know it's blurry. We're seeing Tega play Gauntest for 77, which would have been a game-winning move anyway, even with Frenular. So I guess there's some consolation there for Femi that his play did not necessarily cost him the game. He was going to lose, given that Frenular was going to empty the bag. So situation here. What happened to the? Oh, we lost our board cam. Okay, so we'll stick with this camera for a minute. So we'll see what Femi has drawn. But either way, that's going to be the final blow in this game. But if we just go back, okay, there we go. We've got the rack. And no bingos or anything available for Femi. Perfect. We got our board back. And timers. So yeah, you can see final tile out of the bag is an I for Tega. And not much going on here for Femi. It looks like his best plays are in this area, playing something with his K. He'll get up over the 400 point threshold, but no further than that. So, yeah, oh, right, sorry, the command H2O Queen, nice to see you. The command there is just to put the exclamation point before the thing you want to do to the letters. So you've got your letters that you want to figure out, something there. I should try to figure out what all those commands are. I actually can't recall them all myself. There's more than I know. I definitely need to become better versed in the definition bot, which is of course very useful because there are many words that you might see on these boards that are slightly obscure, as they say. All right, so looks like play of Kane comes down for 30 points. And immediately Tega plays his I in his best spot in the end game. And a final score here of 558 to 421. That's just a masterclass by Tega Okiemute I mean, this guy is good without question. A couple big misses for Femi in this game. He's going to look back at the very start of the game and see that he missed a bingo on his first turn. And obviously, when you do that, the temptation is there to just say, oh, well, that's why I lost the game, right? You're reviewing the game. You see you missed a bingo on the first turn. It's very difficult to continue to psych yourself up to analyze the rest of the game and see what else you could have done better, because this feels like, the butterfly effect can branch out so far from this point where you play a bingo, then you draw different stuff on all your subsequent turns. But it's still good to go back and analyze and see the other areas where you might have gone wrong. So up values came down immediately for Tega. Good plays by both players, I would say, until Vol. This is another pretty big miss here. On this turn, the Asway hook would have been huge here. Playing alone for 41 points instead of Vol is a big swing. But then, so in this particular situation, this late in the game, there were 11 tiles unseen. At this point, actually, it's probably not. It's not as easy to view from this angle. So in this situation, even if we say, let me save this before I start messing around here. even if Femi finds his correct play here of Frenular for 110, this would give him temporarily an 18-point lead heading into the endgame. But of course, at this point, Tega simply plays the same play of Gauntist and wins the game 562 to 487 in this instance. So had Femi found this, it would not have made a difference in this game. However, there are many, many, many scenarios where it would have made a huge difference, right? Like the second blank could have still been in the bag, available to be drawn. So this could have been a huge missed opportunity, but as it turns out, it was purely academic at this point. So maybe the semi-log miss is the one that Femi will look at instead and say, oops, that one would have helped me in this game. Anyway, I think we got all our cameras and stuff like that up. If we just continue to look at the standings as they roll in, you can see this game went in Tega's favor. We'll have to see what happened in the game between Emmanuel Umujose and Sahid Jimo, who are in 3rd and 4th place right now. One of those two is going to move up to 14 wins to join Tega, but Tega is going to be in 1st place. And because the pairings are King of the Hill, it means that we're going to have Tega Okiemute next round as well against the winner of Emmanuel Umujose and Sahid Jimo when we know that player. That's going to be our next game. So we've just watched round 21. And we've got 3 more rounds until we determine our 2 finalists. So I think what I'm going to do, take a little break, make sure everything is all sorted behind the scenes. I think we're in good shape right now, fingers crossed. We'll wait and see who Tega Okiemute takes on in round 22 at the MGI Scrabble Grand Slam. Stick around. It's going to be, I am so excited. Just a few minutes more.